Just a little video about social faux pas. Don't you love them? I wrote this on my Facebook earlier, on my page. And I don't even think it's just Aspies that could relate to this. I think a lot of people could relate to this. Everybody has like a socially awkward moment, where they say the wrong thing, not sure what to say. You know, we're not psychics, right? It's hard to read people, autistic or not. Dwelling on social faux pas. It's rather painful, hey? When you can't help but think back and replay it in your mind as you're cringing and saying to yourself, "Ugh, shouldn't have said that. I'm not supposed to say it like that, am I? Args, darn, why did I say that? Oh my god, that sounded so not on. Oh, why did I say that?" Then you have to be like, okay, there's nothing you can do about it. It's in the past, so you have to forget about it. You can't care about it. Move on. Then you have to say that part over and over again till it hopefully sinks in. I mean, for me, you know, I worked really hard to learn how to perform for a long time, but it was so taxing to my brain, and I do believe it's one of the reasons why I'm as sick as I am. I don't think it's the only reason. I think I'm genetically predisposed to that, but I also think it's that. And I just can't do it anymore. So when I gave up on doing it, on, thinking into it, I kind of got a lot worse and, started getting more blurty outy. It's a stupid way to say it. I started blurting things out more, like being blunt and saying things. And I don't even want to, I don't even want to cite examples. It's just too embarrassing. Oh, it's things you don't want to rehash, right? You're like, dumb things like someone says they're from another country and you're like, "Oh, gee, I know someone from that country," and you name some like famous person that obviously is from the country and just say silly, weird things, dorky. Um, they sound like they're trying too hard. I just hate that. Or, you say the same thing too many times. Like for me, it was like right on. I'd say right on too many times. I'd be like, right on. And just be like, you're saying right on too many times. It's gonna sound try hard. It's just, all we can do is mirror, like who, try and give somebody back the kind of social energy that they're giving us in a way to kind of try and converse with them. It's not to become them, but you get it wrong and it looks obvious and people are like, okay, and you're trying to make conversation and it's just you say something that is kind of out of context or is too stereotypical, like it's coming out of a hi, how are you, like conversation book. You inappropriately bring the conversation back to yourself to try and relate without meaning to sound selfish. There's so many like social faux pas I can think about that they're cringeworthy, you're just like, oh, you're just cringing, cringing. So awkward. And you can burn bridges that way. You can, sometimes all it takes is one misstep, and sometimes people forget about it. It depends on the person, right? But impressions are, but I always think when it comes to that, I just say, you know what? I screwed up the impression with that person. Maybe it's not meant to be that I made a connection with them, right? It's probably not meant to be. And I just say I have to forget about it because there's nothing that I can do whatsoever. There's just nothing. It's embarrassing to think about, they think I'm a weirdo and think I'm crazy and manic or whatever. For me, I'd come off as kind of manic. I was trying hard. um, are just weird, you know? People wouldn't think autistic, they'd just think weird and intense, and I don't know. It's because people don't understand what autism is. They're thinking about it a stereotype that, like, you know, like, which is quiet and kind of flat, and that's not many of us. I am a little bit flat. I have a flat effect in my face, actually. But then the other part of me I learned through being raised by a French Canadian woman who basically pushed me out there, um, to be like flamboyant and expressive, or you know, that was embedded into me, and that's now part of me. But so is the flat effect, you know. So people tend to really misread that paradox. Um, and I do that more now than I did before I hit that threshold and I got sick with supposed fibromyalgia. Turned out to be a lot more than that. But when I started to get sick, I couldn't perform at the same level that I once had been doing. And before, I was still quirky, but I was just sharper at, you know, saying the right things at the right times and kind of watching, trying to read the nuances, which takes like 3 times the amount of work that it takes, you know, a non-autistic person to do. Because we have this astigmatism when it comes to reading surface nuances. We can sense in, you know, deeper stuff, energies and all that, patterns. And that's very intense when you don't know what's happening on the surface. But and that's for a whole other video. But anyway, what I'm saying is that it takes energy when you don't have it, or you're just, also it's a psychological thing, just tired of doing it. For me, it's just like I've had to either be blunt or avoid. You know, I get, unfortunately, around the same time that I started giving up on that, you know, performance at that level, I started to get sick. So I rubbed a lot of doctors the wrong way and pissed them off because and unfortunately fell through the cracks on getting help because I was acting in ways that they thought was like a problem patient and trying to get what I want and tell them what to do, and I just didn't give them the power in the social situations. It wasn't really an oppositional thing, it's just the way I am. It's hard to explain, but anyway, I really got hurt with that one because I just, that double whammy was just bad timing. So only now am I getting the help a little bit, but it's just come way too late. That's not the point of the video. The point of the video is we can't change the, you know, trip ups that happened in social situations. So the only thing to do is to just be like, I don't care what that person thinks. They don't understand what I'm dealing with. They don't understand my personal struggle and what I have to do, how hard I have to work to even converse in the first place. And, you know, whether they judge me or not is not my business. You know, it's just out of my control. Doesn't matter. I know my truth. I know how hard I tried. And as long as you tried and you weren't intentionally like, okay, it's different to regret it if you lashed out, you were abusive because you're angry or depressed. I mean, people make mistakes. That's different. I'm talking about genuinely just saying something awkward and that people were like, okay, you know, you're just like, that, like, you can't control what people are going to think about that. So all you can do is forget about it and repeat to yourself that that's what you need to do and that you need to move on. You know, however many times it takes for that to sink in, you know. So that's my advice on it. I honestly have no more energy to worry. You know, moving on.